Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we will see the very trending technology, basically ChatGPT, which is AI tool. So how to use effective ChatGPT prompt basically to help on the day-to-day activities basically. So I am telling you the honestly, after rolling out the chat gpt basically, I most of the case don't go on the stack overflow basically. Nowadays chat gpt really help me for the day-to-day activities and the general troubleshootings and other stuffs basically. Okay, so that's the thought basically I want to share with you today. Okay, so if you are the new person for this channel, so definitely you can just like, share and the subscribe to the channel so you can get the future helpful videos. Okay, so let's continue for this session basically. So what will happen basically as a day-to-day activities, how it helps me chat gpt basically. Let's say I have a one task today. Let's say I'm using cdk basically. Okay, so I want to create one ec2 instance with the elastic ip address and the security groups, and that security group inbound policy basically. I want to open the ssh port for the particular ip address and the http port for the public ip address. Okay, on the top of that I need to create one application load balancer which has the https ssl certificate basically. Okay, and I need to create separate security group for that load balancer basically. Okay, and on the top of that I want to create CloudWatch monitoring basically. Okay, and on the Route 53 DNS entry for that load balancer DNS pointing basically. Okay, so let's do this prompting basically. So how ChatGPT can help you to quickly, okay, to set up this task basically. Okay, so we can just simply ask, make a prompt like act as a CDK expert. Okay, and write CDK v2 version. I am using TypeScript programming language here. Okay, write act as a CDK expert and write CDK v2 TypeScript code for below setup. Okay, and just shift press enter, then in the hyphen you can just write down the all the complex task. Now I can say like create one. You can give all the details basically, so it will gives you proper detail cdk code. Okay, if you are working on the terraform, you can just change the word from cdk to terraform basically. Okay, create one ec2 instance on linux. Okay, with t3, let's say t3 medium. Okay, then attach elastic IP address, right? Then create security group which is required for the EC2 instance. Okay, then create inbound rule for security group, open HTTP port for public network. Okay, and SSH port for, let's say, 192.168.0.10. Okay, now coming to the next, create load balancer. Okay, create a load balancer. One thing we forgot basically, create new ssh key pair and attach this instance. Okay, now create application load balancer. Okay, then create target group. Okay, and attach ec2 instance to this created target group. Okay, group, then create route 53 entry for load balancer dns mapping with the domain name. Okay, you can write down anything like blog dot awsguruji.com. Okay, now print output output for the domain name and load balancer DNS endpoint. Okay, If I now just press enter, so let's see what will happen basically. So you don't need to remember each thing basically. So if you do proper prompting here, okay, with the all the required details, so it ChatGPT will generate CDK code for you, okay, with the proper manner basically, okay. So as I said, ChatGPT will not make 100% result here. Even ChatGPT, you can see the statement here, okay, from the ChatGPT. ChatGPT can make mistakes, so consider checking information, important information basically, okay. So just don't blindly trust on the chat gpt. So at least definitely chat gpt will help out you how to say this, get the codes and other stuffs basically, but don't do just blindly copy paste job, okay. So wherever the changes required, you can just do changes over there, okay. So you can see now, so it's added the required package here, right, as the imports. Then you can see the structure, construct name here, then the creation of the cdk, sorry, ec2 instance with the what we have mentioned, right, t3 medium. Where it is medium, you can mention, you can check here t3, and the instance size is medium, okay, this way. Then the machine image name, amazon linux. Then allocate elastic ip address, then create a security group, then adding the inbound rules as we said, right. Then key pair, okay, then associate that key pair to that instance, then create a load balancer with the internet facing, create target group, attach target group, okay, to this, attach EC2 instance to that target group, then create a route 53 DNS entry for this awsguruji.com and the subdomain blog, okay, blog dot at awsguruji.com, okay. And also we ask like the print the endpoint basically. So as of now there are the no load balancer created, that is the reason he just add this load balancer endpoint basically. But when you do real time in the your project basically, it will give the output, okay. So wherever the changes possible, you can just do that possible changes like vpc, you can see on this, right, top up. So if you have any custom CIDR range, you can just mention those, okay. And whatever, like a public subnet, private subnet, you can just define that as well. If you want to add that as a prompt here, you can just modify any line or just add new line with the create the vpc basically, okay. Then it will give you proper CDK code here, okay. So this is the just one of the example. But in the real time, let's say if I get any issues on the CDK basically, so I'm just giving the example for the CDK, but you can consider this question to all the other issues, like if you are using terraform, kubernetes or aws services like that, okay. So or linux as well, so you can use according to that cases basically. So now if I just add one more prompt, will basically act as a DevOps expert, let's say DevOps expert, and give me three tier architecture which includes below tools or tech services basically, okay. So EC2, right, EC2 instance, then database, okay, then your elastic search, then your load balancer obviously, auto scaling, right, then your NSCL rule, custom VPC, right, which is important, then IAM role, okay, CDN, WAF, okay, for the security, then enable cloud trail, okay. So if you just enter, you can see it will give the all the details basically, presentation layer, then application layer and the database layer basically. So this way he can just give you the explanation basically. So what we'll consider in the three tier architecture, or let's say if I just remove these lines, okay, as simple as, and let's say simple act as a DevOps expert and give me three tier architecture details, okay, basically, okay. So let's see what will happen. At least if you are a beginner, okay, so at least if you just do this proper prompting on the chat gpt, you can get at least better idea. So what is the three tier architecture, what is the two tier architecture, or any other multi-layer architecture basically. Or you can just ask like act as a DevOps expert and just give me the serverless architecture. So he can also give you the serverless architecture details. Okay, you can see all the details. Okay, so let's say act as a DevOps expert and give me serverless architecture. Okay, if I just press enter, so let's see what will happen. So it's giving the function as a service event driven architecture, which is no lambda function something, API gateway. It's just giving the details basically. Okay, not the exact configuration. Okay, if you ask that kind of prompt basically, then it will give you that kind of outputs basically. So whatever you have entered as a prompt basically, so according to that only ChatGPT will give you the output. Okay, if you ask the simple questions, just give me 5 DevOps tools. Okay, so he can just give the 5 tools name with their explanation basically. Okay, and instead of that, if you can ask like act as a DevOps expert and give me best suitable tools name and list of services to study. Okay, with proper format. So if we can just observe the lining has been changed, right? So with the proper manner. So this type of you can just use the prompt basically, and he given all the mostly required technology here. Okay, so this way you can just use prompting basically for the chat gpt. Let's say in the real time I have issues. Let's say act as a aws expert aws expert and give me steps to configure cdn, which is CloudFront, right? CloudFront with s3 bucket, with making S3 bucket accessible only from CloudFront. Okay, not the public one. Then attach SSL certificate which is required. Then create Route 53 DNS entry. Create custom domain name for CloudFront. Okay, and if you just press enter, it will give you proper steps basically. What will which steps you can just follow and the policy. Okay, so this way if you do proper prompting basically, you will get proper details. Otherwise ChatGPT will not understand your query basically and will not give you proper satisfactory result. Okay, so this way you can just use, these are the some basic example basically, some sample example. You can just use whatever your situation in the project basically as a day-to-day activities. Okay, so according to that you can just use it. Okay, so just last example I want to show you for the terraform basically. Let's say act as a terraform expert and write terraform code for below setup. Okay, below setup. Now let's say create one EC2 instance with t3 dot medium, then create IML role and attach S3 read only policy, right? Then create security group with HTTP public open, public port open, right? Then install http server and start services. Okay, let's say these are the some sample prompt basically. Okay, you can on the top of that you can add your load balancer stuff, s3 bucket, other stuffs, and the installation steps basically like that. Okay, so this way you can just get the code basically for the Terraform. See, you get the installation steps for the http, right? So this way you can just use the prompting for your requirements. Okay, just the important thing is you need to give the proper prompting basically. Okay, otherwise you will not get the result properly. Okay, so yeah, that's all for the today's session. So we will see in the next session with the helpful videos. Thank you.